What up guys, it's T Minus Liv. I wanted to show you guys how to paint stars using acrylics and oils. So this is an example of acrylic and this is an example of oils. So stick around and I'll show you how to do it. So when I do stars, I just use 3 brushes. Now I'm gonna tell you, these are not fancy brushes by any means. I think I got this from Walmart, this from the dollar store. This is a makeup brush. And this one I got off Amazon. I promise you, you can do beautiful paintings with limited supplies and cheap supplies. Now, it is true that when you can, you should invest in expensive materials. I have not got to that point yet. Anyways, you need 3 brushes, okay? You're gonna need one, this one's for your background stars, you know, the splatter flecked stars, okay? It's kind of stiff, it's kind of dirty. I just saw things fly off of that, sorry. Anyways, it's a makeup brush, but it's perfect for blending out stars. And this is just a tiny little detail brush. Of course, you're gonna need your paint. Now, as far as paint brands go, I'm not gonna get into all of that because I literally use what I can afford at the time. All right, so this is how you paint stars using oils. I'm using paper right now for my palette just for the sake of you guys being able to see. All of my palettes are covered in paint. I'm out of baking sheets right now. That's usually what I use for my palette because it just works really well. I went ahead and I put some titanium white, just a little dab of it. And now we're gonna take a medium called Liquin. Now you can use Galkyd, but I've never used that for my stars. Anyways, I use that for glazes and other things. Now, this is just the way that I use it. I know that there's probably better ways, but I use Liquin. This is a medium that you can find on Amazon. You can find it anywhere, really. And we're just gonna do a little glob, okay? A little glob on your palette. You're gonna take some of your white and you're going to mix it in. You don't want it to be super thin. We're gonna take, this is the stiff brush, so it's the one with the stiffer bristles. You do want this consistency of your titanium white and your Liquin to be just right. Otherwise, you're gonna get those kind of squiggles that come off where it's just like a splat of paint, and that's what we don't want, okay? We want it to just be flecks, okay? Now, the layer that I just put on was pretty faint. Play around with different consistencies, so like more titanium white to Liquin or more Liquin to titanium white. You will figure out which consistency causes what effect. You're just gonna get some on your brush and you're gonna just gently flick. Okay, so now that we have those laid out, you can take some, you can use whatever color you want, but for your base shine, whatever color you want for your base shine, I'm gonna use Phthalo Blue. Okay, I'm gonna try to get some of it off. You can choose an already existing white star that you have on here, or you can just create a whole new one. Okay, I'm going to create a whole new one. So you're just gonna start dabbing it. And as you're dabbing, you want to kind of turn your brush as you're going. So just kind of dab, 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 and turn. Okay, so then you can take your small brush, get just a hint of this white, and you're gonna go just in the center of that, okay? So just a little dot, go back to this brush, and then you're just gonna dab. Dab, 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 until you get the effect that you want. See, kind of like that, okay? So you have your center that is a little bit lighter, and then it kind of gets darker as it goes out. So you have that kind of gradient. Now, depending on the effect you want, you can be done with this and go ahead and just dot the center and leave it like that, which looks fine to me. I'm gonna blend it a little more. So you're just dabbing and turning. It just kind of helps blend it out a lot easier. I like to build it up for, you know, my stars that I want more in the foreground, but I think that's fairly good enough. So then we just dot it, right? And then I'll blend that just a hair. Get another one and carefully dot that center. And that's how you do that. Okay, so we'll do one more. If you want to pick a star that's already existing, especially if it's still wet paint, you can just take some of your base color and do the same thing, which is just dab and turn. Mostly around the edges is where you want to be. Sometimes you can even just kind of fan it out like this. You want to be really careful doing that though, because that's easy to mess up. But give it a shot. Okay, take some white. Dab and turn, dab and turn. So, that is how you do stars with oil paint. All right, let's move on to acrylic. I wanted to pop in real quick and say that if you're going to be using mediums, it doesn't matter if you're using acrylics or oils. If you're using mediums with those paints, I encourage you to research what you're using, okay? And determine whether or not you need to wear protective gear. I know a lot of people that do and a lot of people that don't. I've heard various things about these two on whether or not you should wear gloves while handling them and whether or not you should have your room ventilated while handling them. Liquid definitely does have an odor, so does Galkyd. So open a window at bare minimum and wash your hands after using them, or multiple times throughout your art process. Like, just be careful, but please, please, please don't let that scare you away from oils or using mediums. I strongly encourage you to use them. And also, don't eat your paints. So it's gonna be about the same process as oils. We're just gonna use water instead of liquid. So I've got Phthalo Turquoise because I love this color so much. So this is the color I've got for my base color, and then I just have some titanium white. I would recommend you actually just dip it in your water cup, but I forgot my water cup, so I just sprayed some water right here. You're gonna take your white, you're gonna mix it in with the water. Again, with the consistency, you're gonna have to play around with it to figure out how to get the effect you want. So I always start out by lightly flicking. And one of my bristles came out, so let's see if we can, there we go. Okay, and then if you use a little more pressure, you're gonna get more stars in a more condensed area, right? So play around with it, get the effect you want. When you're done with that, you're going to take a little bit of your base color, get as much of it off as you can, and pick a spot. You can pick a spot that doesn't have a star already there, or you can pick one that does, so like this. And you just want to circular motion, so the technique is a little different than oils. I also recommend, like, if you're gonna use one of the stars you already have, you wanna wait until that's dried first. So once you flick all the stars on there, you're gonna let it dry and then come back to it, which I'll show you that in just a minute. Right now I'm kind of creating just a new star. So all I did was take my base color, I got as much of it off as I could, and then I just rubbed in circles until it fanned out how I wanted it. Okay, so then you're gonna take just a little bit of white, just a little dot, and then you're just gonna kind of fan that out some. This process can take a hot minute, especially using acrylics. Oils are much faster. Keep going. If you notice that it's drying super fast, you can also, I wouldn't recommend you dipping your blending brush in the water, but you can just kind of mist it. You know, I use the spray bottle a lot. Kind of just helps you continue to blend it. You don't want to use too much water though. Honestly, I just used too much, so be careful with that. I think I'm going to take just a little bit more of my base color and try to blend that a little better. Get some more white. And at this point, you could technically be done with it and just dot the center of it. So I'll show you what that looks like. Not a bad star at all. But if you wanted to, you could make it just a little bit brighter in the center. Just a little bit, and then do your dot. To me, I think that just gives it a little extra depth. Okay, so take our base color and get as much of it off as you can, because you're gonna just pick a star and you're just gonna rub it around that star. Right, and then we're gonna take our white again, go right in the center, blend it out, and dot the center. It's that simple. Right, so hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And if you decide to give it a shot, please feel free to post it and tag me in it. I'll link all my social medias in the description or right here, whichever one. Okay, bye.